Good morning, everyone. Pastor Shane here with our semi-daily devotional. Today it comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 6. It is part of the story of Noah. The verses for today are 11 through 22, but the key verse is probably one of the more violent verses here in early Genesis, and that is verse 13 from chapter 6. And it says, "And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Now I am going to destroy them along with the earth." The voice translation is even more clear. It says, God says to Noah, "Noah, I have decided to wipe out all living creatures I have made because they are spreading violence throughout the earth. Watch, I will destroy them with the earth." And the Noah story, we usually hold that up as a paragon. Noah is an example of obedience, and it can be that. We look at it a lot of times as, God wiping the slate clean, getting rid of the corrupted world, that people had just gotten so wicked and evil that God couldn't stand it, and all of that. There's a lot to be taken from the Noah story. On clergystuff.com, the devotion says, God made a covenant with Abraham, one that God reiterated with Jacob and Isaac, and again with David. But before all of these, God made a covenant with Noah. And God has made a new covenant with us. Not that the world should be destroyed, but that the world should be saved. Our part of the covenant is simply that we love God. God's part of the covenant is so much greater. God gives us a clean slate every day. With poor decision and harmful action, with repentance and God's covenant, God wipes the slate clean. With Jesus' blood, God wipes the slate clean. The covenant is with us. I think here we see again, God enters into a covenant with Adam and Eve. And we see again here that God enters into a new covenant with Noah. We see it again with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and David. And God is a God that renews. And if there's anything we can take from especially some of these older stories from Genesis, it's that God is constantly seeking to help us renew that relationship. And we can also see here again that God wipes the slate clean. We are forgiven, and that's really, really good news. That's really good news. So just pray with me this short. Actually, this isn't a prayer today. Usually there's a prayer at the end, but today it's a question. If God makes a promise with us, what promise do we make with God? You see, that's the other part of covenant. The other part of covenant is that God's making a promise with us, but it's a two-way street. We have to do something about it, or we have to do something with it. So if God's making a promise with us, what are we promising to God? Think on that today. Think on that today. Hope your day's going well. If it isn't, I hope it improves. And if it doesn't, there's always tomorrow. See you then.